So in this one, we're going to go through something I called a fixed finger exercise routine. And the purpose of this is to develop more independence in the left hand. So basically, we're going to play 3 fingers at a time. So a 3-finger combination. And by this point, you should know that that's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 4, 1, 3, 4, and 2, 3, 4. I'm going to do that on a single string. Very slowly, but using the transition time, so go very quickly between each note. The tempo that I recommend is 80 BPMs, and if you use 80 BPMs, this routine should take you pretty much exactly 12 minutes on a 6-string guitar. I also suggest that you either do it again, same day, starting with an upstroke, or you do upstrokes every other day. The fixed finger then, that's going to be whatever finger you're not playing in that particular combination. So when you do 1, 2, 3, I'm starting on the 5th fret, it's all written out from the 1st fret because that correlates with the fingers as well. So any finger that you're not using in that particular combination, that should be resting on its designated fret on the higher string. And that goes for any string you're playing on, except when you go to the high E string, because then you can't rest on a high string because you don't have any more strings. So you rest on the B string instead, which is actually quite tricky to do, but it's only 1 string, so you just push through it and you'll be fine. The thing we're going to be playing here is using the loop method. And again, if you haven't checked that out, you can check that out in the practice tools. But basically what it is if you have any type of repeating pattern, so in this case, we're just going to go back and forth like that. That means you have 4 starting points because you have 4 notes before we come back to the first note again. So you can start on this note, start on that note, start on this note, and start on this note. Like I said, the most important thing here is that we keep the finger we're not using on the adjacent string. Because this, you will feel it right away when you do it, it's quite tricky. The other fingers though, you should aim to get an attack in the left hand. And what I mean by that is that you shouldn't keep fingers down. And the reason for that is part of this exercise. You can feel that when you have even 1 finger down, it makes everything else much harder. Another reason why you don't want to keep fingers down is that it confuses the brain. Because if you have 1 attack per note in the left hand, and you have 1 attack per note in the right hand, it's way easier to synchronize it. So I highly suggest that you only have 1 finger down at a time. All right, so I'm just going to play through it here on the low E string from the 5th fret. And when you do this yourself, make sure that you do it on a different set of frets every day. So just maybe tomorrow you start on the 7th fret, and then next day the 12th fret, 3rd fret. It's very important to do that, but you don't need to follow a particular order, just choose a different fret, go for it. All right, so I'm going to play through the whole thing now on the low E string. You can see what I mean. So I'm resting my pinky here on the 4th fret, and the idea here is to avoid really clamping down on this and really tensing up. Instead, try to go the opposite way. Try to be as relaxed as possible. And again, remember to keep the transition time as fast as possible. So this is 80 BPMs, and I'm going to play quarter notes. As you heard, I stop after 2 reps. So I do 2 reps, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, and stop on the first note of the 3rd rep. And then I go again the next beat. So you have a gap in between each of these variations, and use that gap to really reset if you feel that you build up any type of tension. Very, very important. So that was 1, 2, 3. Now I'm going to do the same thing with 1, 2, 4, and now I'm going to rest the 3rd finger on the A string instead. So. This is the key to working on these type of exercises, to really focus on getting the fast transitions, getting the relaxation, working on the technique, not pushing the speed artificially by janking up the metronome. That's not going to lead you to a better technique in the long run. So 1, 3, 4. Resting the second finger here. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Resting the index finger on the 5th fret here on the A string. 3, 4. If you would do this without the pauses and all my blabbering in the middle, it would take you 2 minutes. So then you go do the same thing on the A string, but now you rest on the D string with the fingers that you're not using. Then you go up to the D string, rest on the G string, go up to the G string, rest on the B string, go up to the B string, rest on the E string, and then the E string, you have to rest on the B string again. I'm just gonna play random 1, 2, 4, for example. So now I'm gonna rest my 3rd finger here on the B string. And you're gonna notice that you kind of have to be really, almost like if you play classical guitar, really on the tips of your fingers here, because otherwise you will accidentally mute the E string. So let's try this. Hopefully you get the idea, just keep it going like that. And again, use the slight pause in between each of the loop variations to reset and relax. So you want to really avoid building up more and more tension as you go. And also, again, focus on the quick transitions between the notes. I would do this every day. It's a great warm-up, and you will feel pretty quickly that really improves your left hand's ability to use the right fingers when you want to use them. So this fixed finger approach is really, really helpful. There's a lot more variations we can do with this fixed finger approach, and we're going to do that coming up. But this is a really good start. And yes, it's very basic on the, if you look at it on paper, but when you actually do it and you focus on all these elements, it's actually quite challenging as well. Just to get it really on the click, it's really hard. You need to focus to get that down. And also, even if you do that, are your transitions really as fast as they can be? There's so much improvement you can do here if you really focus on it. So this is definitely one of those exercises that I would recommend not doing while watching TV. So you really need all your focus here to get the most out of it. Add this to your routine, give it a few weeks, and I think you will be really happy with the results. Hopefully everything was crystal clear. If you have any questions, just email me. Otherwise, see you in the next video.